All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? For those of you, listen, I did not plan to do this. I understand that there may not be a lot of people who log on, and that's okay. Many of you will be watching this in the recorded version, which is totally fine. I just felt like I needed to get on and talk about this particular issue because it really could be an issue. Now, I'm not one of those who like to stir up, fear in people, but I do like to try to get people to think in advance about things that could possibly take place down the line. You all know that there are a lot of things that are going on in this world today. If you don't pay attention to the news, it's okay. I totally understand. I'm one of those who used to be into the news all the time. And I used to, let me turn my volume down a little bit. Are you all hearing me okay? If you're hearing me okay, if you would, just give me a thumbs up, or just type yes or something like that. And that way I'll know I'm fine. I'm not over glaring. But anyway, as we see, there are a lot of things that are taking place in the world, and I'm gonna give you just a little bit of info. I used to read the news all the time. I used to always watch the news over and over, so much so that it can really start to affect your stress, because there's always something bad that is going on. However, the times that we are living in now are a little bit different, and it behooves us to pay attention to what's actually taking place in the world. So today I wanted to get together with you all. Like I said, you can ask questions. You can put things up in the chat. This is going to be for you all. But I wanted to give you 5 pointers, 5 things that you can do to prepare yourself for in case there is a food hike that's getting ready to take place, which is very possible that there is going to be a food hike taking place, especially with the fruits and the produce. I don't think you all understand that the fruits and the produce. So that's why I bought both of my channels together right now. Some of you may be going to be watching from Processed to Pure Food Movement. Some of you may be watching from Fruit for Your Life. So either platform, I have both platforms on at the same time because I think this information affects both of us. Whether you eat straight fruit or whether you eat plant-based, and that's the way you do it. So, but again, I wanted to talk to you all. You have to pay attention to the things that are taking place in the world because it does affect you. I think there's a verse that talks about there's a man that's seen calamity coming and he prepared for it. So I want to make sure that we are prepared for the things that could possibly be coming around the corner. So as we know, many of you all have been paying attention to the food strike that has been taking place. So apparently the strike is on pause. And I think that this is what's most important is it's on pause. It doesn't mean that the strike is over. So we're like almost a week in on a strike. I think they just started going back to work yesterday. But nothing has been moving in the ports over this past week. And the big concern that has been taking place is the fruit and the produce that has been sitting out in the ocean over this week, and that food going bad. So I'm going to read just a little bit of information for you. That way you kind of know what is going on. And then we're going to get into talking about 5 tips. 5 things that you can do to prepare for this time that is taking place. As you know, there are wars that are going on around the world that may be affecting us as well. There are things that could be taking place that may be affecting your fuel, that is going to possibly raise the fuel prices. So there's a lot. I mean, there's so many things you could talk about that could literally affect how we live, that literally could affect what our dollar is worth. And believe me, it's not worth a whole lot right now. People that I know have been saying, my utility bill is going up, and my utility bill has gone up. And I mean, it's gotten ridiculous, y'all. Seriously. I mean, you look at this utility bill, and it's that utility bill now is a house payment. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Again, if you can hear me, please put a one or something in the chat. That way I know that you all definitely can hear what's going on, and I can make sure that you are hearing what's going on very clearly. And I thank you all for the thumbs up who gave a thumbs up already. That's awesome. I do appreciate it. But my utility bill has climbed so high that it's almost like a house payment. And I'm just going to be open and vulnerable with you, so like my utility bill, like last year, used to be around close to $400. And, for me, that's high. 400, 450, maybe during the fall season when you don't have to run the heat and the air as much. Hey, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. You don't have to run the air as much. And, the utility bill will go down a little bit, 350, somewhere in there. But, over the summertime, my utility bill has been about 455. That's what it was last year. This year, I had a utility bill that was like $700. And somebody who has, one of the rental houses, sent us a message and saying, hey, does the utilities usually run this high in this house? And we actually had to send them a photo and say, hey, look, this is what our utility bill is. Yeah. I mean, it's expensive. So what I'm really learning after looking through all this is it's not that the utilities is really going up. Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is that the dollar is going down. Let me say that again. It's not that the utilities are going up. It's that our dollar is losing its value. So when you go to the grocery store to buy your food, the highest priced food in the grocery store is where? In the live food section. Okay. And that includes, for those who eat meat, the meat is always, we know that that's always expensive by the pound. But the highest place to purchase food in a grocery store is the whole food section. You pay more for that. So what does that mean for us? For those of us who try to eat correctly, especially for those of us who eat fruit, who live off of fruit. I got my big watermelon in the refrigerator sitting over here. I just got through down in a small bag of nuts and raisins for some energy. And, all of that is going up. At the beginning of the summer, I literally was paying for raw whole cashews. I was paying, $6.98 for those fruits. Now, my daughter brought me home some raw cashews from Walmart last night, and it was over $9. I mean, stuff is going up. It's ridiculous. And so you wonder why some people leave eating whole food and they go back into eating the processed food. Some people do it because they just can't afford to eat this good. And you're really going to have to decide for yourself what's important to you. For example, your car insurance. Because your car insurance goes up, that doesn't mean you're not going to have car insurance. Yeah, you may change your policy, or you may go look for cheaper car insurance somewhere, but you're not going to not have a car insurance policy. You're not going to drop your coverage, especially if you have a newer car. Some states you can't drop your coverage. You have to have full coverage on it. So you may go and try to find a different policy. We may try to go to a different grocery store or a different area to buy our groceries, our produce, and our fruits. But you have to have that car insurance. And so even for us, we have to have that good food for us. If not, we're going to pay out in the long run, meaning when we get sick and we go to the doctor's office and we have to go to the hospital, we're going to wind up paying more for that. Okay, so you really have to decide what is important to you. Is your health what's most important? Maybe we can not purchase that cup of coffee, or maybe that extra thing that we like to have, during the day. Maybe we can not buy that and try to work towards our grocery bills. It's ridiculous how much groceries cost now. I remember, what is about 10 years ago, we would go spend my balance of groceries would be $250. I believe it was a week. It may have been every 2 weeks. This was around 2010, somewhere in there. $250. I could go to Kroger and buy like two full shopping baskets of groceries. And I would go to Whole Food and get half of a cart. And I'd be like, come on now, what's going on? But from that time until now, now I go to Kroger and spend $250 and I still don't have a full basket. So we see that things are changing for us. We see that, for many of us, the cost of living is going up and we're not getting paid a wage that's increasing like our cost of living is going up. So we have to figure out what are we going to do? What are those things that we are going to do to help offset the cost, number one, and we have to make a decision on what is really most important for us. If you have a hobby that you like to do, I say this to people who smoke cigarettes. What's most important to you? Being able to continue to buy your packs of cigarettes, and I understand the whole thing about addiction. I got that. But what's more important? Buying food that's good for you or the cigarettes? And I know that question can go both ways for people who smoke. Some of them may say, my food's more important. And then some people say, hey, this chemical addiction in my body's gotten me so bad, I just can't do it. I have to buy the cigarettes. And I totally get that. I totally understand it. And I'm not making light of the situation. But sometimes we have hobbies that we like to do or things on the side that we like to do that we may have to start curtailing. We may have to start pulling back on those things to make sure that we're buying the types of food that is going to be beneficial and nutritious to our bodies. Okay, those things are really important. So let me get into just a couple of things. I want to read to you just a couple of things. The recent pause in the dock workers strike, which is pending the signing of a new contract. So they haven't exactly signed the contract yet. And that's the thing I want people to make sure that they understand. Let's not talk about buying organic. Oh, bruh, what are you talking about? Man, it's like the better you want to eat, the more they make you pay for it. And I think that's by design for it to be that way. It's by design. It costs a lot for the people to grow it that way, and it costs a lot to ship it, and it costs a lot just to have that name on it. So we pay for that. And I was a diehard, Mike. Literally, I was a diehard on organics a while back ago, and I'm not such a diehard on it anymore. I can't be financially. I can't be diehard on it. So either I'm going to go and buy organic and be able to get very little of it, or I'm going to be able to buy the non-organic and purchase more of it. So, it's really a cost that we really have to count. It's one of those things that, what do we do? What do we do in the situation that we are all in? Things could literally just fall apart around us just here in a matter of a couple of hours, a couple of days. And I'm in the transportation industry, so I can tell you that when things go south, and if the transportation industry goes bad, your price is going to be outrageous. It's going to be ridiculous. I drive a truck. I pull freight. I know what that does because the cost transfers to you. So it would transfer to me. So it would go from the industry to the trucking company to the grocery store. And then, that cost gets transferred on to us. And I mean us, meaning the buyers, the people who have to go do the grocery store shopping. So, that's why it's so important that we really pay attention to the things that are going on around us and what we're going to do in the future to get prepared. So this strike, again, it's not over. They just put a pause on it until this contract is signed. Now, the interesting thing about it is these workers do not want it to be automated. Automated meaning, okay, like, so if you go to a grocery store, like many of you may have Publix, we have Kroger here where I live. So, when you used to go to Kroger, there would be like 15 aisles, 15 lanes of cashiers. Okay, and then they went to the do-it-yourself, the automated version of it. And so that's what's happening. Now you're finding, with the automated version, you just literally walk up to that little counter. You got a little bit of space to sit your stuff on. Couldn't do too much with it. So now they're making the belt-driven automated lanes. That's where you can walk up to the lane and put your food on the belt, and it'll take it all the way down there for you to start scanning. Well, now they've taken even more lanes. So when there was 15 lanes, now there are 9 lanes. Well, now there's 6 lanes because they've automated 3 more of those lanes where you can stack up a lot of groceries on. So we see what's happening. Automation is coming in. It doesn't matter whether we agree with it. Doesn't matter whether we don't agree with it. It's going to happen. These companies are going to do things that's going to increase their profit margins. So if they cannot hire 6 people and pay millions of dollars for an operating system, that they will be able to make that money up over time. And once that operating system is paid for, they don't have to pay for it again. They don't have to pay health insurance benefits. They don't have to pay towards your retirement. They don't have to do any of these things. Imagine the money that these companies are going to save because they're going to automate their system. But what does that mean for us? What it means for us is some of us are going to be out of jobs. Some of us are going to be out of jobs when the grocery prices are going up. So now people are going to have to learn a new skill that's going to be able to work with automation. So you're going to have to learn how to deal with computers. You're going to have to learn how to deal with robotics and things like that if you're going to survive in the future. Let me tell you, even for trucking companies, let me tell you about truckers. They're starting to come out with these computerized trucks. Now, watch when you go down the highway, for those of you who go down the highway a lot. Look for these trucks. There's some blue ones. They could be any color, but they're blue. And they have these cameras on the top left, cameras on the top right of the truck, a camera in the front, a camera in the back. These are self-driving trucks. Now, they do have a person inside operating the truck. They are more like an airline pilot. So the airline pilot, all he's really responsible for, he sets his data points in, his information. And then what happens is he actually, the pilot does is takes off. When the plane's up in the air, it does its own thing. And he starts taking back control when the plane begins to land. That's what his job is. That's what's getting ready to happen with the truckers. The truckers, we're going to be sitting in that seat and we're going to be pulling away from the dock, and we're going to be the ones backing into the docks for right now. So we're not going to actually, after a while, be driving the trucks at all. They're going to be self-driving. So what are we going to do? Are they going to pay us less for working because they think that our responsibilities are less? I mean, what's going to happen? So even truck drivers coming in the near future going to be out of jobs. It's just where we're going. So now we have to retool our mind and figure out what we're going to do. I would say if anybody is in the situation to be able to do it, I would say that having a piece of property with a couple of acres on it, 2-3 acres, maybe 5 acres on it, is probably going to be the way to go in the future. Let me explain to you why. Because we're going to get to the place where, have you ever heard of the thing called victory gardens? I guess when the wars were going on and food was low, people started growing their own gardens. I say in the near future, we're going to be at a place where we're going to need to grow our own food. If not, you're going to be eating food that is made for you. They're actually starting to come up. They've got the 3D printers that can print a gun, it can print different things. We're actually going to be getting to the place where we're really going to, these machines are actually going to make your food for you. For example, if all of you who are my age, if you saw the Star Trek we were younger, like the food would just appear to them, and that's honestly where things are about to go. Your food is going to appear. Now, it may not visualize right in front of you. They're talking about it's actually going to do that, but for right now, it may just put your food out, make the food for you, and put your food out in front. Well, that's not good food. That's going to be made of powders and different solids that it's going to put together and make and add this and that to it. That's not going to be food. So many people are going to get sick when that stuff starts to take place. But I would say for us who can afford a little bit of property, it would be worthwhile if you could invest in that, because we are really going to need to start growing our own food. And for those of you, my wife and I are getting ready to introduce some things to those of you who want to grow food, maybe who live in apartments, maybe you live in the inner city and you can't grow a garden. We're going to start to introduce things to you to where you can grow inside even your own home, or put it out on your front porch, and you can grow food in the wintertime. We've been doing that for like 3-4 years now. And so we're actually getting ready to reset our, they're called tower gardens. We're actually getting ready to replant them, and we can eat off of them for a whole summer, believe it or not. So we're actually going to start showing people those types of things that they can do to start preparing. But you're going to need to start growing a garden. And for those of you who don't know how to grow food, there's plenty of people around who could teach you. My wife actually has a site, a channel, YouTube channel, where she teaches people how to grow food as well. She teaches you how to set up a garden. It's called step-by-step farming. Step-by-step farming. I'll actually put that in. And she hasn't been on it lately. And I said, baby, you need to start doing that. I'm just typing this in for you. And anyway, if you go on there, you'll see a lot of old stuff. But she actually tells you how to plan out a garden, how to get ready for the season and things like that, that you need. But anyway, you're going to really need to start growing your own food. If you want to offset the cost of food, that's going to really be the way to go, y'all. Grow your own food. You know what kind of food it is. You know that it hasn't had pesticides. And if you did use, you know what it is. You'll know what kind of chemicals that you're going to have to use maybe, or you'll learn what kind of fertilizer that you can use to put on your soil to help things grow. I actually have bees, honeybees, and I have bees, and they actually pollinate my garden. Bees are going down. I don't know if y'all have heard about that, but their hives are dying. So it's important to have bees around. Hopefully you have them in your neighborhood as well. But again, back to what I was saying, things are getting ready to change for us. So you have to look afar off, and you have to begin to prepare for what is getting ready to take place. It's going to be the best thing for you, the best thing to help you be able to do that. Okay, so we talked about it's pending. They haven't signed the contract yet. It's pending. It has temporarily alleviated concerns about significant disruptions to fruit and produce supplies. Y'all, that's huge. Fruit and produce supplies, it's a huge part of the market when it comes to shipping. Okay, so we rely on a lot of shipping from our produce. Most of our produce and most of our fruits are not grown here within the United States. It's shipped into us. So if you can imagine a ship being out on the ocean that has food, how long can that ship keep that produce at the proper temperature for that produce to go bad? And that's what was starting to happen this week, is a lot of the fruits and the produce were starting to go bad, and that was a concern. So that means that the price that we're going to be paying is going to be going up. Okay, however, the potential for price increases remains if negotiations falter. Back to the automation. The automation of the ports, this is the real issue. Yeah, the money was the issue, but the real issue is they want to make sure that they are able to keep their jobs in the next several years. They're trying to make sure that the port doesn't automate itself like Kroger and Publix has done, where they don't need as many cashiers. See, they won't need as many port workers. Over in China, their stuff is totally automated. They can run a whole port off of very few people. And they make more money doing that. And see, that's what these American ports are wanting to do. And that's why these people are striking. Does it hurt us? Of course it hurts us. It hurts our price in food and stuff like that. But that's the concern. That's the harm that everybody is worried about. So they haven't negotiated whether or not they're going to automate or not automate, y'all. So that's why this pause doesn't mean that the strike is over. It's possibly, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to instill fear, but it's possible they may not come to terms with this automation. The companies may say, hey, look, guys, we're paying you the 60-something% that I know you asked for 70. We're giving you 60-something%, 65% or something like that. We're giving you that, but we are not going to give up this automation. We are going to automate. See, that's going to kick the strike back out again. That's the concern. So let's see if they can work something out. It's a shame that we are depending on other people to provide our food. It's a shame that we're depending on other countries to provide our food for us. And it's a shame that we don't live in a society where we can grow our own food. We can raise our own families, grow our own food. But see, because they have us working, and because some wives have to go out and work and we send our kids off to public school, we're not able to stay home and run our own properties and make our own money and our food. We're in the system we are today. I digress. I apologize. Okay, as ports that handle a large portion of U.S. imports were at risk of shutdown, while the strike could be led to shortages and spoiled produce, the temporary solution has provided a reprieve. You hear that? It has provided a reprieve. Though fruit prices may still see some fluctuation, so we're going to see some fluctuations due to the previous disruption. So possible that our fruit and produce is going to go up because of the strike that happened this week. So we may see it go up and down. Nobody really knows. It's already high to me. I was listening to some experts. They're trying to say that, the price of food is down. No, okay, well, the price of produce isn't down. The price of fruits is not down. Your canned goods and your food that, lasts for thousands of years, it may be going down. But the foods that we are eating, y'all, is not going down. So I'm going to give you some tips that we can get past that here in a second. Listen, the ports affected by the strike, particularly along the East and Gulf Coast, handle a significant portion of U.S. fruits and produce imports. Wow. For example, the port of Wilmington, Delaware alone manages about 2/3 of all banana imports in the U.S. overall. Wow. The ports involved in the labor dispute handle about 60% of the nation's shipping traffic, which includes large quantities of fruits like bananas, grapes, and other produce that could be impacted by the delays. Specific tonnages of the fruit and stuff, it's going to vary from port to port. But as you can see, the one in Wilmington, I believe they handle like the Dole and all these Chiquita and all these companies like that. They handle those. The majority of that particular fruit coming in. So if they stay on pause, or not if they stay on pause, but if they go back to the strike and it lasts for a couple of weeks, y'all, we hemmed up. We in trouble. We really are. I've listened to some reports. The first week of a strike, you're really not going to feel much. The second week of the strike, you're going to start to notice some things not being in the aisle that you're looking for as much. Just a couple of things. By the third week, you're starting to notice big changes. You're starting to notice prices going up. Number one, because these companies are saying, how can I get my hand on as much of this stuff as I can since it's going out? So because they're going to be buying this stuff in such bulk, the stuff that they give us is going to be expensive. So that's why we got to prepare just in case something like this happens. It may not happen. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just speaking about preparation. Okay, the affected ports, primarily along the East and Gulf Coast, handle a substantial amount of U.S. fruit and produce imports. These ports see the movement of millions of tons annually. For example, bananas alone account for 1.5 million tons reported through the port of Wilmington, Delaware, which is a key entry point for, here we go, Dole and Chiquita shipments. Overall, these ports manage about 3.8 million metric tons of bananas. Wow, each year, representing 75% of the nation's supply. So that one port is handling 75% of the Dole products and the Chiquita products that is coming in, such as bananas and stuff like that. If that port stays closed, what do you think is going to happen, y'all? We'll be in trouble for those of us who eat a lot of bananas, for those of us who like bananas in smoothies and things like that. We got to prepare just in case. Other fruits and produce coming through these ports are also at risk of being delayed due to the strike, which could result in shortages and increase in prices for consumers. So again, it's possible that these strikes may take place. It's possible that they may get off of this pause that they're on and go back to work. And then 50% chance it's possible they may say, no, you're not meeting our needs when it comes to this automated ports that you're trying to create and trying to get rid of our job. We're going back to the strike. See, that's really going to be the issue, is the automation. That's going to be the hang up. So, could a brief dock worker strike really affect your grocery bills? Yes, it can. And it will affect it's going to affect your grocery bill regardless if they go back to work or not now. Your grocery bill is going to be affected. So let me give you 5 pointers that we can do to kind of help offset what may possibly happen. And anyway, we need to be doing this anyway. Again, as I said in the beginning, all the wars that are taking place around the world, all it takes is one big cyber attack to take place and things are shut down. They're already talking about it. You know, that's the scary part of it. They're already speaking about these kinds of things. The problem is it just hasn't happened. The people who would be more close to understanding what I'm talking about are going to be the people who just survived this hurricane that just took place. And you see those people are devastated. Many of them don't have food. They can't even be gotten to yet. They're having to have food dropped off to them. So we don't ever want to be in those particular situations and have to go through that. All right. So let's talk about some ways that we can kind of stave off some of these things. I'm not saying that this is going to totally be our answer. No, I'm not saying that at all. But these kind of things can really help us out during these times. Okay. So it's going to be hard for me to say this one, so I'm going to say this one first. Because I really just don't like non-perishable food. I don't. Your real food is the perishable food, the food that dies. That's the real stuff. But, you know, we live in a place in which we live. Unless you own your own farm and got your own food stored up, you know, you don't have to worry about this. But for those who aren't in those situations, for those who live in the inner city, these are things that you're going to have to do. So I didn't want to put it in, but it would be wrong for me not to, because it's just using common sense. Okay, stock up on non-perishables. So purchase canned and frozen fruits and vegetables that have a longer shelf life. Okay, I disagree with canned fruit. It's not alive. It's not. They've already cooked it somewhat. They've added ingredients to it. You know, they've added the sugar and the syrup and all that stuff to it. I hate canned fruit because it's not the way that it's supposed to be. But in saying that, if we want to continue to live, if a disaster happened, we're going to have sustenance, things that sustain us. Okay. So buy canned fruit. Um, buy canned or buy frozen vegetables, frozen fruit, stuff like that as well. And when I say canned fruit, I'm meaning canned produce as well. So, buy those frozen vegetables. Here's the only problem that you're going to have with frozen foods is if your power goes out, how are you going to keep that food frozen? It's going to go bad. You're going to have to eat it. Okay. So now that I have said that, let's move away from the stuff that has been highly processed for our consumption. But when you compare fruit, frozen fruit or canned fruit compared to some of the other things that are out there, the other processed foods, I mean, it's still top of the line of the other processed stuff that's out there. So you just kind of find ways to get around. All right. Okay. Buy in bulk and preserve. Buy in bulk and preserve. When prices are still manageable, buy fresh produce in bulk and freeze it. For those of you who know how to can it. Canning is a form of processing. Hey, but you know what the food is. You know that it's real. Can your food. If you know people who know how to can, try to connect with them, hook up with them. Once again, on the step-by-step farming, my wife actually will show you how to can. She'll show you how to do canning. For those of you who would like to learn it, just go to her YouTube channel, Step-by-Step Farming, and you will see her doing some canning on there as well. Wow. So anyway, these things are going to allow you to be able to store stuff up for later on. That's what you really want to do is you want to store. You're going to have to find places. If you have a small house, you're going to have to find places to store your food. I'm going to give you some examples. For those of you who have room up under your bed, store canned goods up under your bed. Store water up under your bed. Those of you who have big totes, these big plastic jugs called totes. They're 350 gallons. I've got a couple of those. You can actually take those and sit those outside and put those in, fill up your totes with water. And that way, if you have like 2 totes, then right there that you have over 700 gallons of water if something was to take place and you did not have water. Okay, I live in a very earthquake-prone location, and we keep that thing around because we don't know what's going to happen in the coming future. All right, shop locally. Good and important. Look for your local farmers. That's what we do. I go and I buy things from a local farmer. You may pay just a little bit more, but I know how this guy raises his food. I know exactly how he grows things. So it's, go to these kind of people. And like right now in the season that we're moved to the fall season. So now you're going to have your leafy greens, your vegetables, like your kale, your spinach, all those leafy green stuff that's growing right now, your cabbage. Go and buy those things and freeze them. If you've got a deep freeze, I keep 2 deep freezes. Freeze that stuff and keep it in there. So in case time comes, you need it. Let me tell you the thing about a deep freeze for those of you all who don't have a deep freeze. If you're able to get you a small deep freeze, you can find a small deep freeze for maybe $100. If you keep it in a deep freeze, for example, the deep freeze will stay cold for several days. It doesn't need to be running. So if you don't get in there frequently, your deep freeze will keep foods frozen for a while in a deep freeze. Unlike a refrigerator and a freezer on top or side by side, once that gets warm, it's going to start going bad. But a deep freeze is a little bit more heavily insulated. Hey, what's up, Chuck? It's a little bit more heavily insulated, and you can keep your food in there for just a little bit longer. All right, so go buy food, buy it in bulk, cut it up, chop it up, put it in Ziploc bags, throw it in the freezer. Those things are going to really help you. Okay, remember, shop locally, because if something goes down, You can go to that local farmer. If you're always going to him and you're always there buying and purchasing from him, guess who he's going to be more willing to sell to than somebody who's new coming off the street because things are going down. Guess who he's going to save stuff for? Hey, Bob, hey, if you don't mind, hey, put aside to me 10 heads of cabbage and also give me like 7 bunches of kale and set a bunch of spinach to the side for me also and some strawberries and give me a gallon jar of honey. That's your sugar. Give me a gallon jar of honey and set that to the side for me and I'll be by there and pick it up. Oh, okay, Mr. Logan, I sure will. See, when you build that rapport with your local farmers, hey, when things go bad, they're going to help you before they help other people. Why? Because you've been their longtime supporter. So support your local farmers. Just look them up online, Google them to see who your local farmers are where you're living. Okay, the next thing, grow your own. I know I touched on that already. Grow your own. Start you a small garden. For those of you who don't know how to grow, as I said, go to my wife's YouTube channel, Step by Step Farming. She will teach you how to plant a garden. So start your own garden. You can use buckets. If you don't have the property to be able to do that with, let's say you live in an apartment on a patio, hey, get you a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, put you some dirt in it, and start to grow tomato plants. Start to grow different plants. Right now, it's the fall season, so you're going to still be able to grow your kales, your spinach, all your leafy greens, your arugula, all that stuff, because it's the fall season. That's what grows during the fall season. So you're still going to be able to grow those things, and you may have to go ahead and not use a seed, but go to like Lowe's and buy them already growing, so that way you can have them growing for you. All right, so just a couple of tips on that. So start you out with a small garden so that you can begin to learn and do your own thing. If you live in the South, you can actually grow your own fruits and vegetables. If you live in the South, grow your own fruits and vegetables. Fruit trees. When I'm planning on moving to the South, I'm going to be growing banana tree. Hey, I'm going to grow everything. So if you live in an area like that, close to the equator, grow that kind of stuff. Get you some trees planted already, because you're going to be well off when you have trees that are producing fruit and food for you during times of disruption. And we are moving into times of disruptions. Look at the news. Look at everything that is going on and taking place today in the world. Y'all, ain't nothing guaranteed. Only thing that's guaranteed is he who sits on the throne. He's the only one, and he's the one who will help us. So I know a lot of people on my Fruit for Life channel don't like me talking about the Bible and stuff, but listen, you're going to need some help. When you're planting those plants, you pray to the Most High to let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. All right. So grow your own, start it in small containers if you need to. If you don't have a place to really grow food, this is going to help you offset your grocery costs. All right. Okay. Last thing. So we went over stock up on non-perishables, buy in bulk and preserve it. We talked about that. Shop locally, get connected with your local farmers. We talked about that. Plant, grow your own, start your own garden. We've talked about that. Keep watching us. My wife and I are going to be, setting up ways to grow food in your house. You don't even have to be outside. We're going to help you, show you how to do it in your house to kind of offset some of the costs. Okay, number 5, plan your meals around seasonal produce. So for those who you don't know what that actually means, is whatever is growing, that's what you plan your meals around. So you can go to other countries and you can go over there, like over here, you can get pretty much whatever you want to get, right? But when you go into other countries, you may say, hey, I would like some broccoli soup. And they'll look at you and be like, broccoli's not in season. And you're like, well, y'all don't have broccoli soup? I mean, come on. It's like, no, broccoli's not in season. We grow and we prepare our food according to what is in season. But here in America, hey, you can get broccoli anytime. Why? Because it comes through the ports. See how we're so dependent on other countries. We're so dependent upon people to bring us our food. It'll really get us in trouble later if we don't if we don't get on that. All right. So plan your meals around season. Fruits and vegetables in season tend to be less expensive. You don't pay as much for them. Why? Because there's an abundance of them. Okay, so I've got in the refrigerator over here, I actually have a watermelon sitting inside of there. Do you know during this past summer I was paying $4 for a watermelon? It's about yay big. I mean, it's all right. Those watermelons now are $7.99. It's because watermelons are now going out of season, so they raise the price. When they have a lot of them, they lower the price. That's why when you were going to Walmart to buy your watermelons at the beginning of the season, they were expensive, and they started trucking a lot of them in, and you saw those big crates in the grocery store full of watermelon. They dropped the prices on them to $4. It's because they had an abundance of them. Now the abundance is leaving, so they're going to raise the price up. What do you think is going to happen to food if something happens to where it gets held up, like in the ports, if they go back on strike? Because there's not a lot, they're going to raise the price up. And so it's going to be hard to eat in a way that is pleasing to our Father. It really is going to be hard if you don't get prepared with it, okay? So we're about to wrap up right now. So like I said, when you buy your food, make sure it's food that's in season. Another thing that I know you all have heard me talk about, you've probably seen some of my videos that I do, is I freeze dry my food. So I'll take fruits and I'll freeze dry them. I'll take vegetables, I'll freeze dry them. Hey, green beans, freeze dry them. When it's time to eat them, soak them back in water and they'll come back too. Now, they're not going to be as the same exact consistency, but they will have the same nutrition. Okay, so you have to be careful with some things that you freeze dry because it could come back as mush, and it may be better just to eat them like they are raw, freeze dried. That's what I do with bananas and apples and things like that. So it is a way to do those types of things, and I'll be showing you more about that here coming up, the things that I'll be freeze drying. I'll actually freeze dry smoothies, so I can make a smoothie in the morning time, and if I have any left over, I can stick it in a little container that has a little molds to it, and I'll throw it in the freeze dryer, and it'll come out hard, and I can put that in a Mylar bag and keep that for 24 years. So it's like a little snack. It's like nature's candy for real. So, there's different ways of doing things like that. Hey, does anybody have any questions before we go ahead and hop off of here? I want to thank all of you all who joined, everybody who logged on. And I really do appreciate you all being here. So I'm going to take a couple of questions for those of you who have questions. Maybe there are some things that you're maybe not understanding, or maybe there are some things that you're wanting to know how to do. I'll be glad to hang on just a little bit longer to answer those questions for you. So I'll wait and see if anything pops up. And if you type a question in and I don't see it, it's only because it's not showing up on my screen. So I'm going to hang around here for a second and see if anybody has any questions about anything. And if not, we will go ahead and hop off of here. And again, thank you all for joining me on this last minute live session that we decided to do, but I think it's very appropriate for the time that we are dealing with today. I think none of us should be caught off guard. We need to really be concerned, and we really need to be preparing. Hey, you're welcome, Charles. Appreciate it. Thank you all again. If there's no other questions or comments or anything, we'll go ahead and hop off. If you all have any questions, please get a hold of me. You can contact me on Fruit for Your Life on this video. I'll check to see if there's any more questions. Or you can be on From Process to Pure Food Movement. I've actually blended the two channels in right now together just so that we can all be on the same page, because we're talking to people who are eating good, healthy, whole food. Okay, Patricia. Hi, Mr. Logan. I went to the farmer's market today and paid $9.99 for a seeded watermelon. Yeah, see, the farmers markets, you are going to pay more, and you're going to pay more for them there. Simply, number one, watermelon season is really over. If you live in the neck of the woods that I live in Kentucky, so watermelon season is over up here. So the prices are going up. And it's a seeded watermelon. You're also going to pay more for a watermelon from a local farmer. You're going to pay higher prices to a local farmer. It has its ups and its downs to it, but the good thing about the local farmer is you're going to get fresh. You can ask him, hey, can you tell me, did you use any pesticides on your watermelon? And he's going to be able to tell you if he did, and he's going to be able to tell you what he used, and you'll be able to go look up the composition of that to see whether that's healthy or whether that's not healthy and whether you even want to eat it at all. So yeah, farmers markets. Oh, you're in Georgia. Yeah, you have a longer growing season down there. Wow. $9.99. That's high. But let me say this again. When I went to Texas and visited Texas, they had something called an Orange Crush watermelon, and their Orange Crush watermelon was like $12.99. The regular watermelon was like $10.99. So, and that was buying it from out the back of a truck that a guy had. So yeah, it is expensive, but you know where it comes from. Like, they can tell you the name of the farm that it came from. And if you notice, those boys are huge. So it is worth buying them for $9.99. I buy mine from a farmer and I pay $6 for mine. And I pay $6 for mine because I buy them in bulk. If I go and buy from him, I'll buy 10 watermelon at one time from him, because now, since I eat like this, my whole family eats watermelon now. So where I was just buying 6, one per day for me, now I have to buy 10, 12 watermelon. My wife goes to the grocery store now. She buys more watermelon than I do. And my wife hated watermelon. You couldn't get her to eat it. Now she be eating my watermelon up. So, it's just things like that you have to deal with. Local, yes, Chuck, local is better. It's worth it because you know exactly where it comes from. When you go to the farm, the local farmer, you see the products. I did notice it was grown in the USA, but don't know where. Yeah, a lot of times look at the stickers that are on them, that they have on them. If you go into a local farmer, you can ask him like, hey, did you grow these watermelon, or where do you get them from? Because they do cross by from each other. Farmers will cross by from another farmer. And I found this out with the tropical fruit down in Florida. So when I buy tropical fruit in Florida, if they're out, they'll go to another farm right next door that grows something else, and they'll cross trade their produce and their fruit. So, just ask him like, hey, where did you get this from? Is this, and you'll see some of them, the stickers on it will say, from Ecuador or from Mexico. It'll say it on there. But that's the good thing about a local farmer is he can tell you where he is getting his products from. And those are really some of the best products that you can get. And not only that, it's some of the freshest that you can get, because when you go to the grocery store, my wife used to be, she used to work for the Kroger General Office downtown in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the skyscraper down there. And what I found out was, they would have them to go visit some of the stores and some of these places where they hold their food. And they would take these watermelons and whatever this produce was and put it in these big airtight chambers. And they would suck all the air out of it so the food wouldn't go bad. And sometimes this fruit and vegetables is like weeks old. Oh, thank you for that information. I'm going to check the sticker. Yes, ma'am. It'll definitely be on the sticker. So that's my advice to you. Deal with your local farmer during the tough times. If you really get into a good relationship with your local farmer, like my local farmer is going to teach me how to make apple cider vinegar, and I want to record that for y'all. Listen, be careful with the people that you listen to. And I'm not speaking against anybody because you don't know who I'm talking about. The people tell you, you shouldn't eat vinegar. Listen, your body takes that acidic vinegar and it transforms it and alkalizes your body. Let me say that one more again. Your body will take that acidic vinegar and it will transpose it. It'll transform it into alkalization for your body. So anyway, my farmer, he's going to teach me how to make my own fresh apple cider vinegar. And when I do that, I'm going to record it. I'm going to film it so that for those of you who all would like to know about that, you can do that as well. All right. So we're marching up on an hour, and I don't want to keep everybody that long. But thank you for Patricia for your insight, and thanks for the information. Thanks for your question. I love answering questions. I just don't get enough of them. That's the problem. All right. So, hey, for you all also, our members club is going to be opening at the end of the month, at the end of October. Okay. So in our members club, it's myself and I have Muriel. She's going to be there. Muriel Wilcott. She has a page called Muriel in the Raw. She's got a group that you could join. And also Lawrence Richardson. He is going to be our team member also. He's going to be helping us with the physical fitness aspect of it. I'm going to be speaking more on the more spiritual side about getting our bodies correct, making sure that we're trying to be as close as we can to the image of our Father. And I understand that the culture has kind of turned that around for us. So I'm going to be helping us to get our minds to that place, our spirits to that place. Muriel Wilcott, she's going to be helping us with the recipes and showing you how to make the recipes. And again, Lawrence is going to be helping us with the physical fitness as well. So it's going to be a great time. I will be putting more information out about that. It's going to be a great group. We're going to be a close-knit group. So we want people in the group who are communicators, people who love relationships, because that's what is going to help you. People who are going to love on you, hold you accountable, and you in turn hold other people accountable. Okay, so it's going to be really important that y'all pay attention. If you want to join, we do have a waiting list that's on my website right now, from Process to Pure Food Movement. You can join there and, just put yourself on the waiting list, and then we'll contact you when we open up the doors. Hey, but that's really all I've got. And I thank you all so much. We're right at 1 hour on the dot. So it worked out perfectly. I'll try to do these more and more. If you all like this kind of content, if you like this kind of atmosphere, this kind of setting, we'll do this a whole lot more. But it's really been great. And thank you all so much for being a part of this. And I appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next video. All right. Y'all take care. All right. Bye-bye.